Hi, my name is Amy Robinson and I'm a student at Liberty University. I'm enrolled in Counseling 500 and this is my video blog of the listening cycle. First of all, I noticed that the skills that were introduced in these presentations were the initial basic skills, but some of the most important. The first video indicated that we should always use non-judgmental listening skills. While reading Chapter 8 in Granello and Young this week, we were introduced to countertransference. I always thought that countertransference was just being overly empathetic to a client and getting too involved on a personal level. But this material indicated that due to our previous relationships, our upbringing, our cultural backgrounds, and our family of origin, and our personalities, we react automatically to others before we get to know them. They further stated that we can use these reactions to either educate ourselves on our biases so that we can correct these instantaneous impulses, or we can allow them to become harmful by making assumptions based on their backgrounds compared to ours. For example, Mark handled his client very professionally when he asked him if his feelings about his family were associated with his cultural background, which is different from Mark's. Mark let him know up front that he was not familiar with his cultural background, but he did want to understand so that he could help the client to the fullest. The opening of each client presentation was warm and each of the counselors used the invitational skills to allow the clients to open up immediately about what brought them there. Building trust in the beginning of the counseling relationship is so important. The invitational skills that were used by both counselors in the presentations were comforting, they were engaging, they were even-toned, and you could feel a sense of empathy from the counselors, which I believe are all good characteristics to have in order to build that immediate rapport with the client. If the client is more comfortable with you, they are more apt to open up to you sooner than if they didn't feel comfortable and trust you. Granello and Young also mentioned that the therapeutic alliance is defined as a degree of trust, liking, respect, and caring, as well as a sense of being partners committed to achieving therapy goals. Also, the reflective skills that each counselor used in the presentations were effective in letting the client know that they understood what they were telling them and that they were both on the same page. Both counselors summarized what the client was saying after they had reflected enough information for the counselor to get an understanding. I like that Mark took his time with his clients and he made very good verbal contact and nonverbal contact with each of them. He leaned towards them and he made engaging eye contact while they were talking. He was open and he nodded to them while the client was talking to let him know that he was listening to them. While reflecting the meaning of the counseling session, Mark did a great job on the last presentation. He used the invitational skills to get the client talking. He paraphrased things back to the client to make sure he was understanding the client correctly, and he introduced feeling to the client. He asked him, was he angry towards his father? And the client said, well, I thought that I was just frustrated, but now that I know that I'm angry towards him. So he helped him to identify what the feelings that he was having. This is also something else that Granello and Young talked about in Chapter 8 about men. Whereas women don't usually have an issue displaying their feelings and emotions, men have been taught to not be a sissy or to show their toughness, but they're also taught to ignore any emotions that are not tough and manly. So I thought that Mark did a great job at getting this client to acknowledge a feeling that was there and it was real. I think that these counseling sessions were very realistic, and I like how engaging the counselors were with the clients. I have had personal experience with counselors and mine were not at all like these. I've had counselors that spent most of their time taking notes, which is okay, but there was not a lot of nonverbal contact. I also had a counselor that allowed me to talk most of the time before he would comment, which caused him to leave a lot of information out. But overall, for these presentations and this activity was very helpful for me in understanding, more importantly, some of the skills of the counseling sessions. Thank you for listening and have a good day.